Hello students, today we are doing lesson 5.1 on inequalities. So we're going to make a little table kind of over here with two columns. One's going to have the symbol and one's going to have the meaning. So the first symbol is pointing to the left, and that one means less than. Okay, and then if it's pointing to the right, it's going to be greater than. And then we have two that look just like them, except for that they have a line under them. So if you have the pointing to the left with a line under it, that means less than or equal to. And then also the other way around, if it's pointing to the right and a line under it, that means greater than or equal to. So those two mean that the answer could be equal to it also. Okay, and then we have one more. It's an equal sign with a slash through it. And this equation means not equal to. Not equation. This symbol means not equal to. Okay, so today we are just going to graph these. We'll learn how to solve them later in this chapter. So let's just jump in and talk about how to graph inequalities. So when you graph inequalities, it's going to be on a number line. So let's just go through a couple of examples. I'll just do an example on pretty much each one of these. Okay, so if I have x is greater than -3, then how you would graph that is you would make a number line. And we've talked about number lines before, and when I told you how to graph them, I said most of the time I like to just start with the number that's there in the middle and then put at least two more on each side. And I did that wrong. Okay, so remember when you are graphing negative numbers, you always go the opposite way than what you're used to, right? So that would be like if 0 was down here, then your negative numbers go to the left. Okay, so if you are graphing greater than or less than, you are, and I'm going to do this in a different color because it helps you see it. You're going to do an open circle at the number, and then you're going to point to the direction that the symbol symbolizes. So this one says greater than, okay? This one says greater than. So we're going to go to the right. Another easy way to remember that is if your x is on the left-hand side, then your symbol is pointing the way that your arrow should go. Okay, so if it's pointing to the right, then it goes to the right. This only works if your x is on the left-hand side, though. Okay, let's do another one. Example 2. We're going to do x is less than 4. Okay, so I'm going to make my number line. And I'm going to put 4 in the middle. And this is not negative numbers, so I'm going to go ahead and make these go the regular direction. And then I'm going to put an open circle at 4. And this one's going to point to the left because it is less than. So all the numbers that x could be are all the numbers that are less than 4. So x could be 3 because that would make this correct, right? 3 is less than 4. X could be 2. X could be 0. So that's why I'm drawing a line with an arrow on it, because it tells me that all the numbers under 4 are answers for this problem. Okay, now we've done both of these had open circles, okay? And that is anytime you have less than or greater than. So let's talk about when we don't have open circles. So our next example, example 3, is going to be x is less than or equal to, let's say 25. Let's do a high number so that we can talk about how we did those again. Okay, so same thing with our number line. You would put 25 in the middle, and then you would just write some more, making sure that you're going in the right direction. If your number line is in the wrong direction, you will get points taken off, or it will be counted wrong. Okay, this time when I graph it, because it says less than or equal to, I'm going to put a solid circle because that tells me that 25 is also included in the answer because it's equal to, okay? So now I'm going to decide which way to point the line or draw the line. So this says less than, so I'm going to point it to the left. Or just think about it as in the arrow right here, or this point is pointing to the left, so that's the direction that I'm going to draw my arrow. Okay, now, well, let's go ahead and do we have two more, and then I'll tell you a couple of instances. Okay, example 4. Okay, the last one was a less than, so I'm going to do a greater than this time. X is greater than or equal to -1. Okay, so let's draw our number line. And then I'm going to put -1 in the middle. 0 and 1 go over here. -2 and 3 go over here. Okay, and now when I graph this one, because it's got that equal to underneath it, I have to make it at that point, I have to fill in the circle. Okay, so it's not going to be open, it's going to be closed. And this one's going to point to the right because it is greater than. Okay, let's, so these two are closed circles because they are equal to. So up here we had open circles, and down here we have closed circles, so these are the ones that are equal to. Okay, last, one thing I want you to notice on these is I am not putting the dot up here and drawing the arrow like that. That is not how the graphs go. You are supposed to be on the actual line. Okay, now let's go on to example 5. Okay, here's example 5. We're going to do x is not equal to, let's just do 0. That's an easy one. Okay, and then I'm going to draw my line, put a 0 in the middle, do 1, 2, -1, -2. And now when I draw this one, this is telling me that every number is an answer except for 0 because it says x does not equal 0, but it does equal everything else. So I'm going to put an open circle at 0 because that means it does not include 0. And then I'm going to shade in everything else. So all these numbers and all these numbers. So this is how you would do a is not equal to, has an open circle and it's shaded on both sides. Okay, so you need to make sure, okay, now I've done an example of every type. Now let's go over a few things. Okay, make sure you have arrows. So make sure you have arrows or you will have points off. And then whether it's open or closed circle. And last thing is that your line can be seen. Line can be seen. Okay, so those are the 3 things that you have to make sure are right when you're graphing your equation. And then one more thing. If your problem is something like this, oops, hold on, and your x is on the right-hand side, you either need to read it kind of backwards. So this is red, x is less than 5, even though this is a greater than sign. Because what we really want to do is just flip this whole thing around. So if I put x on this side and 5 on this side, I'm flipping the entire inequality. So that means I need to flip my sign also. So if you find one like this in your homework, you need to go and flip it, including the sign, and then you can go and graph it on your work. Okay? Okay, so that's it for today. Thank you.